Um, I didn't say something in the videos I made last night. And this was a real game changer actually for the whole what is the whole kebab, the whole shebang. I'm thinking of some kind of food item that's used in that context. Anyway, I told my parents my friend was trans, okay? And eventually my parents did sit me down and they're like, listen, we're not gonna say anything mean to your friend. We're not gonna, like, talk to her parents or anything, but like, we're not into this idea. And I was like, why not? Like, I was like, I was being civil and everything, but in my mind, I was like, man, parents just don't understand. But my parents were like, we are not okay with doctors taking advantage of someone like your friend or just people in general who don't need surgeries but get them. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. But that really stuck with me. I never forgot that. And that just always kind of had, it carried weight in my mind. And it became more helpful later on because I saw that. So Tumblr, everything on Tumblr dealing with the trans cult got increasingly more and more and more absurd, and eventually, I did see a post. It was like a text post that was like, "Men can get pregnant too. Men get abortions too." And what they were talking about was TIFs, having traditional sex and getting pregnant and getting abortions, which are obviously still women. But I was like, you're really gonna like peddle this idea that that some men get pregnant too because there are like a couple of TIFs. At this point, there were only like a couple of TIFs per state getting an abortion per year. Now it's like very rampant because a lot of this ideology has also like caused sex education to suffer. Like a lot of kids and a lot of people younger than me and just people in general are like very fucking clueless when it comes to sex ed. Like they're so fucking out of it. In the video that I'm responding to here, the one by Cosmic Nebula, it's obvious. So Cosmic Nebula responded to a video that I am referring to. It was her response video that I'm answering the question from. But in this video, a guy went out and asked people, do men menstruate? And he asked this to men and women. And a lot of men, like, clearly didn't know what the word menstruate meant. Like, they didn't know what it actually meant. So, like, I'm saying because of this trans trend, all of the sexual education, like the sex education that kids and the sexual information though, like people are really lying to kids' faces and saying like men can get pregnant. And also like I could just go on and on about this. I found a book in Barnes and Noble like years ago, okay, and it was called like The Period or Menstruation or something, and I already knew it was going to be bad news, so I picked it up, and on the back it said people who menstruate, meaning women, meaning girls, like, and I was like, so people aren't even aware that girls are getting periods anymore. We've regressed so severely. But anyway, that was really a problem for me when I started reading that I was like, wow, really? They really want to say that some men get pregnant too and some men get abortions too? Like, that's fucking stupid. And then people were also wanting to say bullshit like birthing parent and chest feeding and all this like just absolutely absurd words for things that we already have very clear terms for that they just wanted to replace. But at that point I was like, okay, yeah, this is real dumb. This is getting even more dumb. Like I thought these people just wanted to like, go by different names and have whatever haircuts they wanted and like leave the world in peace. But like that's not at all what they fucking want. Anyway, also at the time, I feel like I said this in another video, but I don't know that I said it so clearly. So anyway, so I really thought that this was like the new up and coming like ideology. And it was. Honestly, I was right in that respect, but I didn't see how harmful it was. I didn't see how dangerous it was. I didn't understand how mentally unwell the people who were promoting this information were. Um, so that was just like, I didn't see that at first, is what I mean to say. Um, but eventually, I definitely did start seeing that, like, these really out there, really big personalities were just completely taking over, and obviously, a lot of these people were very mentally unwell. This woman I knew who went by Z Hair, like, those were her gender pronouns. This is before they, them. This is the precursor to they, them. We had Z Hair. So you would say, Z's outside, or like, where is hair? No, you wouldn't say where is hair, because that would be where is her, where is he. You would say, that's hair's coat. Like, it was so stupid. I did it, okay, and Z was spelled Z-E, and hair was spelled H-I-R. So stupid. Now we have they, them, though, and they, them has completely stuck, and I hate it, and it's horrible, and it's improper English, and calling someone they is just really fucking stupid, and if you do that, then you look like a dumbass. But anyway, well, not you don't look like a dumbass, you are a dumbass, but I digress. So, well, I was gonna say something about Z Hair. What was I gonna say about Z Hair? Oh yeah, okay. So Z Hair lived in another town, and Z Hair and I met up. That's just her name now. She was very clearly a biological woman. We met up and hung out a little bit, and Z Hair was telling me about this woman, this man, obviously, that she knew who was a trans woman in her area, like in her like queer group or whatever the fuck they called themselves. And she said that he would wear like roller skates and giant dresses and fairy wings everywhere, and like he just sounded extremely obnoxious, extremely like out of it, honestly, and just like an extremely like loud personality that always demanded attention. And Z Hair was like, yeah, well, sometimes she's annoying, like, but we're okay. And I'm like, this person, I didn't really say this at the time, but I was like, this person sounds fucking horrible, but like you're just acting like it's totally cool. Like, also, it's a man going by she. Like, what do you expect? But so I'm saying, like, I fell into this ideology. My parents planted the seed that it was harmful and wrong, and I didn't forget that. I put it on the back burner. And as time went on, I was seeing the trans cult get increasingly more and more and more and more. I've already said absurd many times. Well, they were getting absurd. They kept increasing their demands, and they were also gaining a lot of recognition for the surgeries they were getting. Also, might I add that like we have seen so many trans girls starting in and around the 2010s because of how many trans YouTubers there were on YouTube. Like Chase Ross, who the fuck is that English girl, Jamie something? I don't know her name. Who else? Oh, no offense, she's a scary one. She's really frightening to me. I don't like her at all. She's so fucking demonic, dude. You can tell just by looking at her. This shit is like frankly demonic though. Let's just say that. If you listen to a Tiff talk when she's been on testosterone for like probably over like a year at least, she will sound like the most disgusting demon frog ever. Like, it really is a demon voice. It sounds so unnatural and wrong. Because it is. Yeah, so I guess I just wanted to add that I knew this didn't need to be a super long video, but yeah, the increased ridiculousness, the increased absurdity, the increased demands, um, really just made me like, I guess, fall out of love with it. Um, I don't like. So it was somewhat of a slow process at first, but then like it just became rapid, you know. Once I finally understood what was going on, and now we have all this really crazy shit that's happening, and a lot of it's thanks to the trans cult. A lot of it was helped by the trans cult. Um, People don't understand that it is really a cult, and it's not like, I gotta hand it to them. It's pretty clever the way that they, organized and the way that they became a cult. Um, Ended up being pretty clever because there's no specific leader. There are a bunch of leaders. There's no specific one person saying everything about trenders. What else? They did it through social media. They targeted children and are targeting children currently through social media, which is super easy because kids are really addicted to all the social media. They're really addicted to TikTok. They're really addicted to YouTube. They're probably really addicted to Instagram. I don't know what the fuck else kids are addicted to today. Minecraft? I don't know. But like I don't know that there's trans propaganda on Minecraft, but do people still play that? I don't know. I'm not hip, okay? I don't know these things. But I'm saying that um, they targeted children with the internet, with phone use. They successfully, um, you know, landed their targets. And then now we have like, today, okay? We actually have very young people, I would say ages 17 to 25, who didn't go through natural puberty for their sexes, because there are boys who were subjected to this treatment. Sorry, there were boys who were abused with this medical malpractice, and there were girls who were abused with this medical malpractice, and it's still happening currently. But I'm saying there were both boys and girls that were given puberty blockers that are now growing into adults, and now they're like, well, what would I have looked like if I really had gone through the puberty, the sex of the sex that I actually am? And now we have these like really feminine looking men and pretty masculine, not all the time, but pretty masculine looking women, but really they're like they are their biological sex. They are their birth sex. And I've seen posts by them on just on the internet of them saying like, yeah, I really, actually a lot of them are really sad. A lot of them are saying that they're straight, but since they appear as the other sex, they have such a hard time finding romantic partners. Like, that's not a surprise to me at all. A lot of them are going to kill themselves, unfortunately. A lot of them are suing medical facilities that did these things to them. But see how much of a fucking like just vast, almost bottomless pit this ideology became. Like, this was just like internet talk, and now it's a full-blown medical lawsuit. Sorry. Now it is full-blown medical lawsuits. Now it is full-blown medical malpractice that's being done on a really large scale. Like, it's very scary. And I think a really large part of the problem here is that people are not really addressing these issues in logical ways. You know, when your kid comes up to you and tells you, I'm trans, you don't just go with it. That's not how to be a proper parent. And people are finally just now realizing that. And people are finally just now realizing that it's not good to cut off girls' breasts. It's not good to cut off women's breasts for no fucking reason. Other than she has a mental problem called gender dysphoria. Like, I mean, it's happened to boys too. Like, they've straight up had their dicks cut off. Straight up had their dicks inverted in the name of this cult, and they can never get it back. Isn't that unfortunate? Isn't that happening one or two times too many? But it's happened thousands of times by now, and tens of thousands of times, if not 100,000 times in the US for girls. Because there are more trans girls than there are trans boys. There are more TIFs than there are TIMs. And this is where we're at. This is the world we're living in. And it's liberals' faults. It's largely due to how liberals behave. But I mean, it's also largely due to how conservatives behave. Because I was saying a second ago, like, you need to talk to your child. You need to talk to your children from a logical point of view, from a logical standpoint about this. You need to say, you are never going to change your sex. No one ever does that because it's not medically possible. So you're better off just being who you are. Be who you want to be. Do the things you want to do. Like the things you want to like. And you can still be a happy woman one day or a happy man one day. Like, but I guess people are just incapable of doing that. They're gonna be fucking crazy.